Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring a pretty fascinating reality that's literally right under our noses, or, well, deep under the frost. We're going to look at how the world's ice doesn't just sit there regulating our global climate, but actively holds on to our history, ancient beasts, and some absolutely incredible hidden fortunes. It's an unprecedented look into Earth's ultimate frozen time capsule.
We usually look at glaciers and permafrost as just these barren, empty landscapes. But as this quote brilliantly points out, they are so much more than that. They're pristine vaults. They're preserving secrets that can completely shake up everything we know about biology, geology, and human history. The ice acts as this giant protective shield, locking away moments in time with just terrifying and beautiful perfection.
So here's the crucial point. Global warming is accelerating the melting of these massive glaciers at a rate we've never seen before. And as they pull back, they aren't just releasing millions of gallons of water, they're dropping ancient mysteries and literally billions of dollars in treasure right at our feet. This isn't some abstract concept, folks. It's a ticking clock that dictates how much of our own past we can actually recover. Let's jump in and see exactly what the ice is handing back to us.
Section 1. Earth's Ultimate Cold Storage, starting with some geological discoveries of an unimaginable scale.
Now, the sheer scale of the Gamburtsev Mountains is just staggering. Discovered by a Soviet expedition back in 1958, this entire mountain range is buried, and I mean completely buried, under 600 meters of thick Antarctic ice. To put that into perspective, it stretches for 1,250 kilometers, with peaks towering over 3,300 meters high. It's essentially the European Alps, but completely hidden from the world, sealed beneath an absolute ocean of ice.
But beyond giant mountains, the ice also holds on to some truly bizarre biological events. Up in the Beartooth Mountains of Montana, there's a glacier that isn't white at all. It's gray. And why is it gray? Because millions of Rocky Mountain locusts were caught in a brutal storm centuries ago and flash-frozen solid. This specific species actually went extinct after early American farmers plowed over their breeding grounds. But the ice preserved an entire swarm of them, perfectly intact.
And the great melt brings some insane financial stakes, too. Scientists have figured out that during the last ice age, advancing glaciers acted like giant boulders, sweeping up enormous rocks filled with gold. Now, as these glaciers recede and melt because of rising temperatures, they're slowly spitting out the gold they've trapped for millennia into icy rivers. Meaning, if you're in the right place at the right time, you could literally stumble upon an ice-cold fortune.
Section 2. Prehistoric Beasts and Biology Locked in Ice.
This timeline gives us a sense of the mind-boggling scale of preservation we are dealing with. If we go back 70 million years ago, Antarctica wasn't a frozen wasteland at all. It was a lush green forest. It actually took scientists 10 years to dig the Antarctupulta oliva royai, a unique Ankylosaurus species, out of the frozen rock down there. But as we move closer to our current era, the preservation goes from fossilized bones to perfectly intact flesh and blood. Let's look closely at Yucca, a 39,000-year-old baby mammoth found by tusk hunters in Siberia. When scientists examined her, they found something absolutely shocking. She didn't just have intact skin and hair, she had actual flowing red blood. Let that sink in, flowing blood. When tested, they discovered her blood contained a remarkable natural antifreeze chemical. It's a biological adaptation that let these majestic beasts survive the absolute worst climates. Even crazier, some of her cells were still viable, sparking modern efforts to maybe even clone and resurrect the species. It completely shifts our understanding of what's biologically possible.
Fast forward to June 2022 in the Canadian Yukon. A miner named Travis Mudry was just digging through the permafrost when he uncovered nyxorium, a perfectly preserved 30,000-year-old baby mammoth. Paleontologists had to race against the clock, frantically extracting her just one single hour before a massive storm rolled in. Her skin, hair, and DNA were fully intact. It is literally the most complete mammoth ever found in North America.
Section 3. Ancient Humans Locked in Ice. Let's see how our own history handles the deep freeze.
Back in 1991, two German tourists were hiking along the border of Austria and Italy when they stumbled upon a human body. At first, they thought it was just a modern mountaineer who'd had an accident. But actually, scratch that. It turned out to be Europe's oldest mummy, Otzi the Iceman. This 5,000-year-old traveler originally came from Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, and was remarkably preserved, right down to the tools he was carrying.
Because the ice preserved him so perfectly, scientists were able to map Ötzi's entire DNA, and what they found was a deeply painful but surprisingly relatable existence. I mean, the guy suffered from male pattern baldness, he was lactose intolerant, he battled Lyme disease, and he had severe joint pain. He lived a really tough life right up until the very end, where he died out in the freezing cold, clutching his bow and a dagger.
Section 4. Modern Tragedies and Hidden Wealth.
Imagine this. You're hiking the majestic Mont Blanc in the Alps in 2013, and suddenly you spot a metal box just sticking out of the snow. It's stamped Made in India. You pop it open, and it is bursting with over 100 colorful rubies and emeralds. Now, this wasn't some lost pirate's hoard. It was actually debris from the tragic 1966 crash of Air India Flight 101, violently preserved by the mountain for decades. Because the original owners of those gems couldn't be found, even after extensive searching, local laws had to step in, and that lucky French hiker was awarded this exact amount, $169,000. That was exactly half of the total estimated value of the precious stones. The mountain literally gave up its treasure.
And it's not just commercial planes out there. Back in 1942, right in the middle of World War II, a massive blizzard forced a whole squadron of P-38 Lightning fighters and B-17 bombers to make a super dangerous emergency landing on a glacier in Greenland. Thankfully, all the crew members were rescued days later, but the planes had to be left behind. Over the next 50 years, the relentless snow buried those aircraft under an astonishing 90 meters of solid ice.
Retrieving our modern history from the cold requires some extreme effort. In 1992, an expedition set out to recover just one of those planes. They had to melt a massive tunnel through 90 meters of ice using hot water probes. It took 11 years and a staggering $3 million to extract the parts, haul them up to the surface, and restore the famous Glacier Girl plane so perfectly that it could actually fly again. Just incredible.
Section 5. The Doomed Arctic Expeditions. Let's look at how the ice swallowed history's most ambitious maritime explorers.
So here is the domino effect of these doomed Arctic missions. In 1845, Sir John Franklin led 2 highly advanced ships to find the Northwest Passage, which was a vital shortcut through the Arctic. Well, the ice trapped them, and tragically, all 129 men perished. A few years later, in 1850, the British sent the HMS Investigator on a rescue mission, but the Arctic is totally unforgiving. By 1853, the Investigator itself got trapped in the ice, forcing its crew to abandon ship and flee on foot. Those ships were lost to the frozen depths for over a century and a half.
So how do you find a needle in a frozen haystack? Well, in 2010, Parks Canada experts set out to find the Investigator. But they didn't rely on modern satellite maps or high-tech sweeps. Instead, they relied purely on indigenous Inuit elders. You see, these elders had passed down centuries-old stories of their ancestors stripping iron and copper from a strange frozen ship. By following this oral history, the modern explorers were led straight to Mercy Bay.
Absolutely brilliant.
Once they dropped their sonar, there it was. The HMS Investigator was standing perfectly upright in the dark, freezing waters, immaculately preserved. And that single discovery ignited a massive chain reaction. It gave scientists the momentum and the operational footprint they needed to finally locate the original lost Franklin ships. The HMS Erebus was discovered in 2014, and the incredibly ominous HMS Terror was finally found in 2016. The ice finally gave up its maritime ghosts.
To wrap this explainer up, we want to leave you with this final thought. Our glaciers are receding faster right now than ever before in recorded history. From millions of dollars in gold and gems, to flowing mammoth blood, to entire lost mountain ranges, we have honestly only just scratched the surface. As this great melt continues, Earth's ultimate time capsule is bound to reveal even more astonishing mysteries. So what do you think will emerge next from the deep freeze?